Good afternoon. Today is the 20th of January and it's time once again to answer some viewer questions. First of all, though, I'd like to say that we are going to have another one of these really quite terrible quizzes on Saturday. Hopefully it won't be so terrible as it was last week. That was, I think the only word I could describe was appalling in every single way. So if you want a slightly less appalling quiz, although I can't guarantee it'll be any easier. In fact, it won't be any easier because I like seeing all of you squirm for answers. Then we'll be doing that on Saturday the 23rd of January at 7:30 p.m. GMT. And I do hope that you enjoy it. I've taken various steps myself to hopefully ensure that we have fewer problems this time. Right, without further ado, let's get into some of the viewer questions which you've kindly asked over the last couple of days. The first one is from Jonathan Bramble. Have you ever driven or reviewed anything with a rotary engine? Sadly not. No, I'd like to get my hands on something like a Mazda RX-8, but so far, no, that hasn't happened yet. Next question is from Colin Hicks. Good day, sir. Good day to you, sir. I happen to be looking through the latest Astra price list, that'll be the Astra K, and discovered that the estate is now 4.7 metres long. Now, I've had a look at various sources, and the Astra K estate is either 4.37 metres long or 4.7 metres long, depending on where you look. I've seen it 4.7 on more than one site, so we'll go with that one. That's as long as the current 3 Series and 20 centimetres longer than the 2008 3 Series estate. Well, there we go, for an Astra. Yes, the 1.2 unit in it, though, is not a PSA unit. That is a Opel developed unit that was done right at the end of the time that General Motors owned Opel, before PSA bought them, and it took a couple of years to come onto the market. It hit the market in late 2019, and actually the car that Planet Auto and I filmed in Farnborough, the Astra there that they had on test, that had one of those Opel developed engines that went into the Astra right at the end in it. That engine will never be used in any other Vauxhall or Opel product apart from the Insignia. It won't be used in anything in the future. And there's a 1.2 to 1.4, and I think in that we'll kind of go into more of it. But anyway, the question Colin's really asking is, do you think car models are getting too big? Well, if we compare the Astra F estate, which would have been on sale in 1991, to the Astra K estate that's on sale now, we'll find that if we take the 4.7 metre as long as truth, the K estate was 4.28 metres long. That's significantly shorter. It's about 40 centimetres shorter, actually. 1.7 metres wide as opposed to 2.04. The height's not that different. It's about 1.41 as opposed to 1.49. But particularly if you look at something like a Rover R8, that was a sort of standard family car in 1991, and I had a 91 one of those. They are tiny in comparison to, say, an Astra K these days. They're really, really small. Maybe cars are too big. Certainly in a car park that's not designed for these modern cars, you can struggle to park them. So yeah, maybe they are too large. The next question comes from Mr. Alan Simpson. If you could work for any car manufacturer, which one would you choose, and what vehicle would you suggest be added to their range or changed? Well, it's probably got to be MG, and they have a number of emissions in their range. One of them, of course, is that the 1 litre turbo engine from the MG ZS that needs to go into the MG3 urgently, with a 6-speed manual gearbox from the HS. Other thing they need to do is come up with a dark green metallic colour for their cars and a beige leather interior, and they need to produce a saloon car or sort of a family size hatchback. They do have a family size hatchback that is sold in dark metallic green in other markets, sometimes even with a beige leather interior, which is the new MG6. However, they won't sell it over here, which I think is a massive shame. and they really need to upgrade that engine in the MG3. Just throw the 1.5 away, completely throw that away. It's so old-fashioned now. You know, it was pretty old-fashioned in 2016, and we bought our MG3 that was about 2.5 years old at the time. I mean, now it's just like a relic, it's like a fossil, as a car obsession once said. And the idea that you can still buy that engine in the MG ZS is ridiculous. Fortunately, there is a 1-litre manual ZS now coming out. It'll be better even to have a 1.3 turbo engine that's available in some markets in the ZS. Unfortunately, we can't guarantee anything like that. But you know, those are some of the changes that I'd make myself. I've got plenty to say to them, as you can imagine. Next question is from Stanley Leopard. You have driven most, if not all, of the cars made by MG since the brand was acquired by the Chinese. Yes, I haven't driven all of them because some of them aren't available in this market, but I've driven all the others of them. Leaving aside value for money and other factors, how short of premium European quality, i.e. BMW / Range Rover, is the current flagship HS, both in petrol and plug-in formats? In terms of the build quality of an HS is superb. It's certainly on a level of something like a Hyundai or a Kia. I don't think it's quite up there with, a Range Rover Sport or something like that. But then a Range Rover Sport is well over 3 times the price of an HS. So, don't know what else to say about that, really. BMW, well, I'm not that keen on modern BMWs myself anyway. They tend to be far, far more expensive than they really need to be. So probably not quite in terms of the quality there, but not very far off at all, really. And of course, an MG is a lot better in terms of the value for money departments, even if we're not supposed to talk about that today. For example, the 7-year warranty, and just for lower prices in general. So, you know, you pay your money and you take your choice, I suppose. John Edward asks, what are your thoughts on pre-registered brand new cars? They seem to offer significant savings on list price, existing warranty and no waiting period, but obviously have the one previous owner, which is the dealer. As you say, sales are not based on basically registered, but not necessarily sold to private or fleet buyers. That is correct. But I imagine a lot of people go for a pre-reg just after a specific specification or a set of optional extras. Pre-registered cars are very good value, and often they, are a month, 2 months old with, 20 miles on the clock or something, and they just have a number plate already on them, and dealers bought them off themselves effectively. The one issue comes with a lot of new car buyers are buying on finance, and the deals on finance don't take into consideration things like huge deposit contributions on brand new cars that are not registered, and also very low finance or no rate finance, 0% finance. You don't tend to get those on things like pre-registered cars. So often a pre-registered car, if you are somebody who's buying on finance, as most new car buyers typically are, then they can work out more expensive, and you don't get the sort of number of options that you do with a brand new car. Equally, if you're just, the typical second-hand car buyer who just goes and gets something like a bank loan, which is maybe 3% or something like that, and then you'll actually find that a lot of new car finance rates are actually higher than that as well. So it can be a very good option, particularly for cars that have very long warranties, like SsangYongs, MGs, and Kias. But yeah, there's pros and cons to both, really. Sometimes the discounts on new cars are so great, but it actually pays to take the unregistered one for some reason. It's not really a clear-cut issue, I'm afraid. Sean Cook says, quite obviously the cost of beluga caviar and Moët and Chandon has gone up, so the GLC reckons that motorists should cough up so the party is not disrupted. Well, we'll maybe talk about this Great London boundary charge another time. Lack of space dictates a smaller classic. Have you a tip for the best 90 Super Mini or smaller vehicle to pick up and preserve? I think that the 1990s Daihatsu Charade GTi, which I think was about 89 to 1993, something like that, that is going to be a very valuable little car in the future. A lot of fun and everything, 1 litre engine, 3 cylinders with a turbo, just like, a lot of them are these days. But, weigh, about, I think it weighed just a ton. So 100 brake horsepower per ton is a very good figure even now. So yes, that would be my tip, I think. Richard Hallett asks, what sports are you into or played as a youth? Cricket or rugby more than football, I would have thought. Not that keen on sports personally. I've played all of those, and in addition to one you never would have heard of, which is called Winchester College Football, which I'm not going to describe here because this is not a sports channel. But that is the equivalent of rugby football played at rugby. Eton has a couple of games for, I think, the wall game and a field game they're called. But yes, it's one of the strangest sports you've ever seen. And if we get really bored in lockdown, I will attempt to explain the rules of Winchester College Football to you. But I don't think most of you will find that very interesting, so perhaps we won't. So it comes down always to the final question, which is from Trab Ali. I think every single month we've been doing this, he's come up with a sort of devious little thing for me to actually answer. And I think we started in 1965. We're now in 1992, and it's a secret mission for me. Right, let's get on with this. I had to do quite a lot of research for this one, so I hope you enjoy the answer I'm going to give you. It's 1992. You've been given a top secret mission to collect something from Aberdeen. It's so top secret, I don't even know what it is. Well, that'll be a MacGuffin then, because that's, what they are. Anyway, you're in Exeter and you need a car that can do long distances between fill-ups. But your choices are limited to being in rural Devon. There are, however, Isuzu, Mitsubishi, Suzuki and Subaru dealerships nearby. Name me one period correct model from 1992 from each manufacturer is up for this job and the one that you would then take. I've also been given Daihatsu as well. So we've got to have a car that can do a long journey. It's 580 miles from Exeter to Aberdeen. Now, none of the cars that I could find from the manufacturers will actually do that sort of long, distance. Not even the vehicles powered by the forbidden fuel. So we're not going to go with the forbidden fuel today because I won't be able to talk about another channel. In terms of the Isuzus, first of all, now we're going to have to ignore the 3-litre models, which are powered by the forbidden fuel, or 3.1, I think they were sometimes. And this is a very early second generation Isuzu Trooper that came out in 91 to 1992. So we're going to go with the 3.2 V6 as opposed to the later 3.5 V6 with 174 horsepower. And we're going to add an auxiliary fuel tank because you can actually get those in Devon at a 4x4 specialist. So let's just, assume a bit of artistic license here and imagine that specialist was in operation. That gives you an extra 60 litres of fuel. Now, the standard car will even, with 18 miles per gallon or thereabouts, it doesn't really matter if you pick the automatic or manual one. I'm going to go with the 3-door Trooper because I think they look really, really good. I'm going to go with an automatic because there's just so little difference between the automatic and manuals anyway that you might as well go for the automatic. So with the standard fuel tank, it'll do about 317 miles. With an extra 60 litres, I imagine well in excess of 400. So that's just one fuel stop, but quite a lengthy one because we've got 2 fuel tanks. And that will comfortably get us there whilst using a lot of government money to do it too. Next up, Mitsubishi. I'm going to go with the brand new from 1992 Mitsubishi Colt 1.8 GTI with 138 horsepower, and that will do 385 miles on a tank, so we're absolutely fine. Just a halfway fill up, and we're going to be driving around in one of the rarest hot hatches that there ever were in the early 1990s. Next, we've got something even rarer from Suzuki. Now, I could go for a Vitara, but I'm not going to. I could go for a Samurai. I'm not going to. I have had a first-generation Vitara, and really they are so unbelievably noisy and sort of wayward at high speed that I wouldn't really have one. So we're going to go for the next best thing, the very rare Suzuki Swift GLX Saloon with 4-wheel drive. There were a number of sub-variants of this, but we'll just go for the standard one because it's easiest to find information about this. So it's a Suzuki Swift 1.6 GLX four-wheel drive saloon with 91 horsepower. Now, I don't know how big the fuel tank range is. I couldn't find the information, but I think we'll probably still be doing 35 to 40 miles per gallon. So doing 580 miles on with one fill-up should be perfectly possible. And that's probably going to be the most comfortable Suzuki for that journey as well. Next, we've got the Daihatsu Applauses. We're going to go for the fuel-injected version. In 1992, it was a crossover year between the carburettor version and the lower powered fuel injection version, because in 1993 the Euro 1 emission standards came in and all cars had to have a catalytic converter. So we're going to go for the higher powered fuel injected version with 105 horsepower, 1.6 GLXI with air conditioning, which has things like body coloured door handles on it and things. They're quite comfortable apparently, and of course being an Applause, which is a bit like a Seat Toledo Mark IV, it's got lots and lots of room in the boot despite being a hatchback. And yes, I again can't find the power output for that, but we're going to go for a model with air conditioning because that was an option, and with the alloy wheels, and look like we're the most unassuming people in the world. Finally, we're going to go for the Subaru Legacy. I would go for the 2.2 GX, but I couldn't find any fuel economy figures or miles per tank or on anything on that. I could find the GL, which I think will be four-wheel drive, so maybe useful for those farm tracks or something, and take shortcuts and things like that with the Subaru Legacy. Only 114 horsepower, so no sort of rapid journeys or anything, but we're going to have to get there without using all the fuel. And if you go for certainly the Impreza turbo of the time was horrendously bad on fuel. So the miles per tank on one of these is 396, which is perfectly acceptable for us to get from Exeter to Aberdeen with one fill up, and that's probably going to be the most comfortable one of all, apart from the Trooper. I would say that the Trooper Citation, which is the one I go for, top of the range model with leather seats, I think also had cruise control. So one of those two, the Legacy or the Trooper would probably be the preference that I would have for that particular secret mission. So there we are. That was the 16th part of the viewers' questions answered. I never know what call I'm going to get. And yes, we will be doing another live stream, another quiz on Saturday. The submissions I've asked for in terms of people sending me in videos of their cars, I haven't had very many of them. In fact, I've only had one. So we're going to extend that for a little while, maybe another week, because it's not like most of us are doing too much at the moment, apart from people who are key workers. So yes, thank you ever so much indeed for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for yet more entertainment. Don't forget to like this video and to leave a comment below. Thank you to everybody who's asked their questions. I really appreciate it. My Facebook page and Instagram links are below. And thank you ever so much indeed again.